Well, I think people get it actually misconstrued that every single founder just woke up and then decided to build a company. Because like Ben, he gave me this advice super young. He said, what do you call a leader with no followers? I was like, what? He's like, somebody just taking a walk. And when you made me, I sat back, I was like, well, what does that mean? And what it meant was that oftentimes you can't just go out and just build a company straight from scratch, right? Like, but what you can do is get the experience, work at portfolio companies, you know, like work at Facebook, work at a startup, get the network, understand what's going on, build a community, figure out, oh wow, actually there's a problem that my company's not solving, and then I actually think I can go do that. And then I say, hey Aaron, I have this idea, let's go out and go do it. And then me and him both leave Facebook, we go start our next $1 billion company, and then Mark Zuckerberg puts an angel check into that round. Like that's actually way more of the stories that we're seeing, because you know you have to have it's a journey, and this is a lot of people also think it's, and I'm just speaking specifically within the technology industry. Like this is a long road. I mean, I know you've been working on the company for a long time. If you think about a company from going from raising your first round all the way to going public, the traditional time frame of that is at least 10 years. And I mean, now I think with AI, with blockchain technologies, you're going to see this really start to shift a little bit. But it's a long game, and it's a long game, and it's a lonely game. And so you have to just be okay going into the struggle, and you know, hopefully we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, Chris is dropping some gems here. I think one of the important things that he just said is that growth is not linear, especially in your career, right? So when I started my career, I started in investment banking. Did not work out well, you know, worked for the first 2 years, 80 hours a week in a recession. Did not end up like Chris, one of the most brilliant investors in the world here.
Okay, keep going.
And you know, basically almost got laid off in investment banking, right? So it's like, you know, what are the other interesting kind of industries around me? I had an opportunity to join kind of a tech company, which I had no technical expertise at all. You would think that being an engineering director, I worked in engineering my entire life. I didn't. I started in investment banking, doing finance and accounting. So I had to kind of go back to school, you know, make kind of a transition, learn again by the bootstrap, surround myself with mentors and champions who could edify me, help me develop kind of new skill sets, be inquisitive, asking questions, and then learning. So sometimes you got to be able to kind of sidestep in your career, kind of think about the long game, and don't think about it as a setback, but more kind of an opportunity to get set up for the future, long term. So, you know, growth isn't linear. You can't always kind of connect the dots when you're looking kind of forward, but you know, sometimes you kind of look back at your career, you're like, these things happen for me.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because this conversation about AI, we're being fed fear. We're being fed fear about AI, and you know, there's this conversation of it's going to displace me, it's going to get rid of me, I won't be needed in this industry anymore, and that may be true in some industries, to be factual. But you know, you talked about, Chris, you know, it's easy to say what jobs will be lost, what jobs will be created. What jobs, industries, categories are ripe for innovation?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, look, raise your hand if you used AI in the past 24 hours. That's what I'm talking about, you see? Cheat codes, okay? And that's what it's like. People think AI literally just started. It took 60 plus years for us to finally get to this point where now we have access to the entire world's data. We are extremely excited about AI, not only just because of just the opportunities, but we think that like, there's one person because of all the tools and resources now, that you can literally build $1 billion business. One person. You could be the engineer, you don't even need the engineer, you don't even need to code. There's a company, kind of going off to what you were saying, that I recommend. Like if you're trying to start an idea and you're trying to figure out, it's called Gamma, GAMMA.app. And we're not even investors in this, but I use it every day. It's like a keynote presentation tool where you can literally just type in whatever type idea you want to do. I want to build a cookie business in Atlanta that only focuses on chocolate chip and red velvet. And you can type that in, and it'll literally give you a 10-point presentation slide on that. So now, and ready to help you and support you. And I think that we've always just been very much on how AI is going to destroy so many different industries, but in reality, it's a tool and it's an asset. And AI, we think AI can potentially save the world. From bio, from education. I mean, if somebody's kids aren't going to a good school, or the teachers are going, not necessarily giving them the time of day, you have an AI assistant that has extreme empathy, can help teach you different languages, can help walk you through these different things. And this is literally just the beginning, because soon we're gonna see levels of human versions of this, voice, talk to, text to speech. And so I think it's the most exciting time. And I mean, I just encourage everybody to use it as much as possible, because if you don't use it, the person that's trying to take your job or trying to go after it.
1,000%. When I have some students in the audience, I saw some hands raised in the back, but if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, people were afraid of the steam engine, right? It revolutionized technology at the time. There's points throughout history where everyone were worried about technology changes and job displacement, but overall there's a net benefit to society. And I think, as Chris just kind of talked about, AI has the potential to really transform and revolutionize the way that we interact with technology and with each other. And I encourage people to be early adopters, to play around with these tools, to use them, because your coworkers and colleagues certainly will. Democratizing information, access, and skill set so that it's readily available at your fingertips is really a cheat code if you know how to leverage it. And the only way that you can leverage it is by being an early adopter, using these things and figuring out use cases to use to your advantage.
I'm gonna throw this to all you guys, but I'm gonna start with you, Vince. There's people in this audience who are not building technology, but building their business, a small business. There may be some makeup, situation or whatever it is, a boutique. But technology could help them, if they leverage it, grow faster, or reach people that they otherwise wouldn't be able to reach. For the people who don't want to build technology but leverage it, what words do you have for them, and how? Because they're not technology savvy most of the time.
So, this was a very sensitive topic for us when we were building the user interface for bridges, because we know that, especially in the older community, they don't want to go deal with a phone. They don't even want to send text messages, and text message has been out for years, right? But they don't want to even do that. So it was a challenge for us to figure out how do we make it simple enough to where they can use it. Because the thing is, if you don't adapt to technology, you're gonna fail. You're not gonna be successful. Not in today's day. Today's day, everybody's going online. They have even the card payment, like a Square or PayPal or Bridges, whatever it is. You have to use technology. And if you want to be successful, it's not a question of do I want to. It's more like, okay, how do I get on there? And so when we designed Bridges, we had to interview those businesses as well. And there's a balance between convenience and complexity that we had to look in. And for the folks who aren't really tech savvy, the best advice I have for you, get somebody who is to help you, because if you want to be successful, you're gonna have to get on board with technology. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and effectively we're talking about scale here, and Vince, I'm gonna bring you in on this, is what can we learn as small business owners, entrepreneurs, about how Facebook thinks about scale? Like how do those strategies become applicable to small business owners?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we're